If you don't, thank you for your
Thanks
time.
thanks for going to that meeting.
You're welcome.
No,
Thank you.
whenever you, Stacy, and Roger show up to me, I know something's getting ready to go down, so.
Thank you.
Motion that the meeting is adjourned. this time, the mayor has a proclamation.
All right, thank you all. We were contacted by the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, being that this is Hispanic Heritage Month, to issue a proclamation for an entrepreneur. And I agreed to do it, and I'm going to read it, and the recipient is here. It says, whereas the inaugural National Hispanic Entrepreneur Day is a historic occasion dedicated to honoring the dreams, struggles, and triumphs of Hispanic entrepreneurs who have intricately woven their stories into the very fabric of our nation. Whereas the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Louisiana is proudly celebrating 40 years of hard work strengthening the Hispanic business community and assist traditional American businesses in engaging with the rapidly growing Hispanic population. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Louisiana members benefit from access to a wide network of businesses, nonprofits, and government entities, along with various seminars, training courses, and networking events designed to support business growth. Whereas Mr. Cornelio Pacheco is an esteemed member of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Louisiana. He is the proud owner of Account Tax Business Group, LLC, established in Kenner, a firm of accounting and tax professionals providing outstanding service to its clients. Mr. Pacheco sets an example of business ownership, entrepreneurship within the Hispanic community and is a proud honoree nominated for the inaugural National Hispanic Entrepreneur Day 2024 by the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Louisiana. Now, therefore, I, Michael J. Glazer, along with Kenner Police Chief Keith Conley and the Kenner City Council, do hereby recognize the leadership and contributions of Mr. Pacheco, as well as the 4 decades of service as the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Louisiana celebrates its 40th anniversary. Additionally, we are proudly recognizing the inaugural Hispanic Entrepreneur Day, designated as September 17th during Hispanic Heritage Month, along with nominee Mr. Pacheco, given under my hand and seal of the City of Kenner, Louisiana, this 3rd day of October 2024. Congratulations. Let's get a quick picture. And as always, Ms. Myra Pineda hasn't met a microphone she doesn't like, and she wants to say a few words.
Thank you, Mayor. On behalf of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, our Board of Directors, I'd like to thank this administration, this council, for always supporting our efforts, our initiatives, and especially during Hispanic Heritage Month, recognizing the important contributions of our wonderful and growing Hispanic community. Mr. Pacheco is one of these examples that not only bring jobs and investment to the city of Kenner, but makes us very proud and to see his business grow and thrive in the city of Kenner. So thank you very much, and happy Hispanic Heritage Month to all.
Really honored to get this recognition. Thank you, City of Kenner, and thank you, Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
Our council meeting would start in 2 minutes. I would like to call the meeting to order at this time. Are there any special intentions? At this time, Attorney Michelle Dufresne will lead us in prayer, and Chief Connolly will lead us in the pledge.
Heavenly Father, as we gather this evening, we ask for your spirit of unity to be present among us. Help us to continue to work together, listen with open minds, and please guide this council to make decisions with understanding and humility. May our words be filled with love and respect for one another, and may our actions reflect the unity we strive for. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
All right, please face the flag, put your hand over your heart, and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, do we have a quorum?
Yes, ma'am, you have a quorum. In accordance with Council Resolution Number B14550, please be advised that all cellular telephones and other devices of this nature must be deactivated or silenced throughout the council meeting. Next, we have correspondence, reports from the mayor, CAO, or department heads. None? Yes, sir. Okay. Madam Chairman, at the request of the administration, we have an executive session to be in regards to Michael Vodolina appeal, Kenner Municipal Fire and Civil Service Board, case number 2018-AH-FIR-001. I have a motion by Councilmember Wilmot, seconded by Councilmember McKinney to adjourn into executive session. All council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Councilmember Sharwood is abstaining. Motion passes 6-0. We're now in executive session, and the council will be out shortly and return in a little bit. Yes, ma'am. I have a motion by Councilmember Wilmot, seconded by Councilmember McKinney to reconvene from executive session. All council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 6-0. Councilmember Sharwood is abstaining. Next, we have the mayor's comments.
Thank you. First up, Senator Kirk Talbot is somewhere in the room that would like to address the council. There he is. I hope it's good news and you're coming with money.
It is.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the council. Just wanted to let you know I sat in on the Bond Commission meeting last week in Baton Rouge, and we approved a $4 million upgrade to the sewer lift stations at 25th and Salem, 25th and Helena, and the St. Jude lift station. So just wanted to let y'all know that Debbie Villio, thank you. Representative Villio and Senator Miller and Representative Stagney, we all made sure everybody on the commission knew that this was, we made sure it was on the agenda first. We made sure they all knew to approve this. So that's something I just wanted to let you know. And also, anyone that, that's having problems with flooding or insurance or anything that I can help with from the hurricane, please call my office, 736-7299. And I encourage everyone to get in the queue for the fortified roof program. We just did the department just did another round of grants. They're going to do grants probably every month or so. There's still 15 to 20 something million dollars left in there. We're trying to get more money for next year, but that's something that's really important. And the feedback we've gotten so far from Terrebonne areas where the storm hit, that not a single shingle came off a roof that's fortified. So they do work, and it's a $10,000 grant, and I would encourage everybody to apply for that, and hopefully we can get as much money out to people as possible. And that's all I have, but if there's any questions from anyone, I'll be glad to answer any. Oh, 504, I'm sorry, the area code's 504. What's that? Kirk Talbot, the Hurricane Francine. Thank you.
All right, I got got 10 things here. They should go quickly, though. Last meeting, Mr. Al Morella asked about bridge over Canal number 17 in East Loyola Drive, an erosion issue. It was inspected, and they found that the slabs are still in good condition. It's not an immediate concern, but they would recommend taking action, which is pretty much to put more dirt under the slabs going to and from the canal. So it was inspected, and we'll get it taken care of. We're just filling it with dirt. Okay. Update on flooded structures in Kenner. We sit at 540, and I'll have some better numbers on tonnages from the debris in Kenner. September 20th through the 30th, we had 398 tons with 94 landfill drops, and that's compared to August, the whole month of 100 tons. So there was a lot of debris, 3,555 tons of the rear loader garbage trucks. We know we had issues with some of the piles of debris under power lines, in around trees and streetlights that we're taking care of with the contractor and our public works people if they can help. So we should be about finished this weekend with all of the storm debris. DSNAP interviews began yesterday at the North Carolina Library for vulnerable groups, but they tell you that residents are encouraged to apply by phone when possible, and the number is 1-888-524-3578. They started yesterday. They were there today till 5 o'clock. They'll be there tomorrow till 5 o'clock, and again Monday and Tuesday of next week, and it's during the day till 5 o'clock. So I believe after tomorrow, it's by last name alphabet. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Monday and Tuesday is first come, first served. And also with storm-related assistance from the Small Business Administration, I believe we have Renata Mason here that would like to address the crowd. Thank you.
Thank you all for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you all today. Yes, I'm Renata Mason with the U.S. Small Business Administration, and we are in Jefferson Parish to assist in the disaster recovery. The U.S. Small Business Administration, we are the largest source of funds post-disaster for privately damaged properties, and we will be setting up, alongside FEMA, a disaster recovery center in addition to a business recovery center. We have the word business in our name, however, our outreach goes beyond that. We provide assistance to renters and homeowners as well, in addition to private nonprofits. And I wanted to provide just briefly the information on what is available resources-wise. So for renters, we can provide assistance up to $100,000 for renters that can be used to replace or repair any damaged personal property, including any automobiles. For homeowners, we can provide assistance up to $500,000 towards any repairs or reconstruction for homes, for the real estate, and also an additional $100,000 towards your personal property as well. For private nonprofits and businesses, we can offer up to $2 million to assist in any damage to real estate, any damage to your equipment, inventory, or any machinery. In addition to that, if you do not have any physical damages as a business, we also do take into consideration loss in working capital. That $2 million is also available to any business that may see any loss in their working capital. These are low interest rate loans. I want to make that clear. For homeowners and renters, our interest rates start at 2.813%. For nonprofits, it is a 3.25% interest rate, and for businesses, it is 4%. All of our loans that we offer has a 12-month deferral before you make your first payment, and during that 12 months, you do not accrue any interest. In addition to those that we do have to offer, we have implemented a new program with our mitigation. Of course, these disasters continue to happen. They're more and more prevalent. So what we've done with our mitigation program is we've allowed additional 20% for funding to go towards mitigation. The funding can be used for any type of peril. I know this is Hurricane Francine, but you can use the funding to fireproof, floodproof, wind or hail-proof your home. So that funding is going to be available for you all. As I mentioned, we will be opening up a business recovery center, and we will be working alongside FEMA as well in their disaster recovery center. Once we have that information of the location, that will be put out to the public. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming to Kenner and help us out. Next up, you can see a lot of people in uniform here. And to recognize some heroic efforts during the storm, police and fire. So I'm going to turn it over to Police Chief Keith Conley to tell him what he has in store for these people.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, during the storm, as I mentioned last meeting, all your first responders worked together. And during the brunt of the storm, we had to send crews out to do some rescues of some critical incidents. And LCMC had reached out to us and said they wanted to honor some of the officers that were involved that went out in the worst of the weather and certainly risked their all to protect the lives and of some other people. So I'm going to turn it over to LCMC now. And they'll come up and they'll do the ceremony.
Good evening. My name is Reed Miller. I'm the EMS director. I want to share with y'all a letter that I'm going to be presenting to Chief Connolly to recognize some of his extraordinary officers. On the night of September 11th, as Hurricane Francine was moving through the area, we were faced with a dangerous level of floodwaters. As we received and triaged incoming 911 calls, we found that our ambulances were unable to make it to most areas of Kenner. Determined to get help to those who needed it, while most rescue efforts were grounded due to weather, we called upon the remarkable staff of the Kenner Police Department for help. We coordinated one of our ambulance crews, Sean Tompkins and Justin Lambert, to join 3 KPD officers, Scott Verdun, Chad Strzeski, thank you. Knew I was going to mess that one up, and Andrew Shea on the Kenner Police Department high water truck. Carefully navigating their way down flooded streets and careful not to cause further damage, the officers were critical to ensuring that everyone in the city received the medical care that they needed. This mission was successful because of the strong working relationships we have with our community and our first responder partners. We at LCMC EMS want to extend our heartfelt thanks to the brave officers of the Kenner Police Department who went above and beyond, and we look forward to continuing to work shoulder to shoulder with them as we continue to serve the citizens of Kenner. Thank you. And we do have some plaques as well we're going to be presenting to the officers here.
All right, and next up, not to be outdone, is Fire Chief Morris. Oh, sorry.
Mr. Mayor, members of City Council, City Administration, thank you for your time to let me speak this evening. My name is Huey Marcel. I'm the Director of Emergency Medical Services for St. Charles Parish Hospital. So just to kind of touch on September 11th, Hurricane Francine hit the Louisiana coast as a Category 2. It caused, widespread flooding throughout St. Charles Parish, along with down power lines and trees. In the evening hours or the night hours, we received a call for a medical emergency. After our crews having delayed response, trying to navigate through down power lines and flooded streets, they finally made it to the patient. After doing some testing in the back of the ambulance, determined she was having a massive heart attack. Oshner-Kenner was the closest facility, so they set out to transport that patient to Oshner-Kenner, not realizing what they were getting into with the severe flood waters in the city of Kenner. Around Airport Access Road and Veterans, the ambulance became disabled and they were no longer to continue that transport. And again, this patient was experiencing a massive heart attack. I reached out to Brittany Verdun with East Jefferson EMS, asking for any assistance, and she advised that they weren't able to respond in ambulances due to the flooded waters. She immediately called contact with Kenner Police, and they immediately sent 2 officers in a high water vehicle to transport that patient and our 2 paramedics to the hospital. I can't tell you how thankful I am. Had it not been for these 2 officers, that patient probably would have succumbed to that heart attack in the back of an ambulance on the side of the road that night. So on behalf of St. Charles Parish Hospital EMS, I'd like to recognize Sergeant Scott Verdun and Officer Andrew Shea of the Kenner Police Department on their exceptional response during the recent hurricane. Their quick actions in assisting EMS with the transport of a critically ill patient to the hospital were nothing short of heroic. In a time of great uncertainty and danger, Sergeant Verdun and Officer Shea demonstrated remarkable courage and professionalism. Their commitment to the well-being of the patient was instrumental in ensuring a positive outcome and the survival of that patient. These actions embody the spirit of what it means to be a first responder, reflecting both bravery and a deep sense of duty to their community. I extend my heartfelt appreciation to the both of you for your outstanding service. Thank you.
All right, now Chief Morris with recognition of Kenner Fire life-saving efforts.
Yeah, as always, the best is saved for last. Anyway, on September 13th, post-Francine incident, we had an incident that our crews responded to, and I'd like to give them some recognition. At 10:30, approximately 10:30 on September 13th, employees of the Orthopedic and Sports Therapy of Kenner building next to our Station 37, which is on 40th Street, came over and stated that someone has collapsed in their building and was unresponsive. Engine 378's crew and 370 grabbed medical equipment and headed over to investigate. On the way to the location, an employee met us halfway and said he was not breathing and had no pulse. Engine 378 arrived on scene and found one male victim lying next to workout equipment with feet raised on a chair and employees performing CPR. Unit 370 arrived on scene and took command. Engine 378 crew took over compressions and continued CPR as the AED was being set up. After approximately 1 round of CPR was done, AED pads were applied and turned on. Another round of CPR was admitted and the AED advised shock. After the first shock, patient was still unresponsive and no pulse. CPR was continued. Medical Unit 1 arrived on the scene and assisted in compressions while Engine 378 set up the Lucas device and Med Unit 1 carried. That Med Unit 1 carried. The Lucas device was utilized in compressions and AED advised another shock given. After shock given, patient had sporadic breathing and his pulse was weak. The Lucas device was continued. EJ-70 arrived on scene and took over Med Unit 1, injured 378 assisted in care. EJ-70 prepared the patient for transfer, and injured 378 assisted and loaded the patient to be taken to Oxnard Hospital. This patient, from what I told, did survive that incident, which is great, member of our community. And I'd like to recognize the members that responded to that incident. It was fire driver Randy Ayo, firefighter Kevin Dunn, Fire Captain Sidney Kushler, Fire Captain Frank Menino, firefighter Nathan Pajaris, and firefighter Christian Rocan. Thank you. And I want to thank this council for buying those Lucas devices for us, because that was one that was used to save another life. Thank you.
All right, and the next is going to be pretty quick. Tomorrow night, a couple meetings ago, this council passed a resolution dedicating the football field at Mus Bertolino in the name of Ed Daniels. Tomorrow night at 6:40 p.m., prior to the Kennedy Discovery Bonneville football game, we'll have a dedication ceremony and an unveiling of the new marquee that says Ed Daniels Field. So everyone's welcome to come tomorrow at 6:40 at Mus Bertolino. Next Saturday, October 12th, we have an inaugural competition here in Kenner at the Wentwood Skate Park. It's an adaptive sports competition, guys and girls in wheelchairs. Opening ceremonies are at 10 a.m. and competition goes until 3 with awards after. I went out last Saturday and watched a few of these guys. They're pretty good on the wheelchair, so like I said, all I can do is break a leg if I got in one of them wheelchairs and try to do what they do. Saturday, October 19th, Mus Bertolino Playground is Kenner's annual trunk or treat. It'll be followed by a movie, what's it called? If, never heard of it. So it'll be about 8 o'clock, 7, 8 o'clock, the movie will come on. Anyone wishing to enter a trunk can find details on the city's website, and of course, it's free to attend, any kid that wants to come. And the following day, Sunday, October 20th, is our annual food truck festival from 11 a.m. to 7:30. This year is the biggest it's had. We had to cut the trucks off somewhere in the mid-30s for running out of room, 4 bands, and also it's free to attend. And that's all I have for you.
If I can also add on to that, October 5th, at the parking lot of the Pontchartrain Center, we have the kickoff to the National Night Out Against Crime. It's going to be in the Pontchartrain Center parking lot, over 21 agencies involved from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. There's no charge for admission. There's going to be free food, free drink, and the Top Cats will be providing entertainment from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. We'll have SWAT team demonstrations, K-9 demonstrations, drone demonstrations. Fire department will have their big trucks on display, as well as EMS as well. So it's a chance for everybody to come out and meet and join with their first responders and get an idea of the equipment, such as the high water rescue and some of the fire department equipment that perform these life-saving measures, as well as the personnel that actually operate it. So everybody's invited. And then the next day, October 6th, is the St. Rosalie Festival and Procession here in South Kenner that starts at the church about 3 p.m., but I'm sure y'all will cover that later. So thank you.
You missed one. The Tuesday after your, when is it, October 8th? Is the Night Out Against Crime.
Yeah, the actual Night Out Against Crime is October 8th, Tuesday evening. We have over 25 neighborhood groups that have logged in with us so that we can make sure we have officers stop by and talk to you folks, see what your concerns are, enjoy some of your good food. But if it's not too late to register your neighborhood group, or if you want to find one closest to you, we'll make sure to put that up through either social media or the city's website.
And if you want to participate with a party, call the police department. And I've always said through the years with this, you learn more about talking to somebody in their driveway than you do sitting in an automobile or anywhere else patrolling the city. So it's a wonderful event.
Thank you, Mayor. Madam Clerk?
Yes, ma'am. Next up, do we have any resolutions, motions, or other items from the floor? Seeing none, under the consent agenda, we have item 1, approval of the minutes, the regular council meeting of September 20th, 2024. Item 2 is approval of alcoholic beverage permit applications. We have none. Item 3 is approval of bingo and public gathering applications. Item 3A is application number 2411-24, Downs Syndrome Association of Greater New Orleans to hold a public gathering on November 9, 2024 from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. for the purpose of a Down Syndrome walk at Lake Town. Item 3B is application number 2422-24, the City of Kenner to hold a public gathering on October 20, 2024 from 11 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. for the purpose of a Kenner Food Truck Festival at Lake Town. Item 3C is application number 2423-24, St. Rosalie's Society to hold a public gathering on October 6, 2024 from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. for the purpose of a historic St. Rosalie procession through various streets in Rivertown. Item 3D is application number 2424-24, First Baptist Church of Kenner to hold a public gathering on October 31st, 2024 from 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. for the purpose of a trunk or treat at First Baptist Church of Kenner. And that concludes the consent agenda. I have a motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Wilmot on the consent agenda. All council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Under the public appearance agenda, we have item 8, public hearings and final passage. Item 8A is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 13,663, an ordinance approving a conditional use for a food truck park in a C2 general commercial district located on lots Z-1A, X-1-Y-2, and Y-9B, square 329 and 330, Highway Park Subdivision, Kenner, Jefferson Parish, Louisiana, in accordance with site elevation and landscape plans by Studio 314 Designs, dated July 18, 2024. I have a motion by Councilmember Sharwood, seconded by Councilmember Dunn, to open the public hearing. All council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. We're now in a public hearing, and the Planning Department
Yes.
has a presentation.
Thank you.
Before the Planning Department come up, we have 4 hearings on the agenda tonight, and because of that, the meeting will go pretty lengthy. So we would like to set some ground rules for it. Each person of the public that wishes to address the council, you have 3 minutes. The council clerk at that time will have the time, but you will be able to see it up here. This is a hearing, and we want to hear every one of you all that's here to address the council. But when your 3 minutes is up, then the council clerk will undoubtedly, tell where you can see that your time is up. And if you go over, I would hit the gavel. Now, with that being said, we've already asked the council, the city council. This is not a debate. This is a hearing. So we are going to hear what everyone have to say. We're going to ask the council to do their notes, and after all of the public have spoken, then the council at that point will make their comments or ask questions. But for the public hearing, we will have the Mr. Dufour, who's the director of the planning department, to come first, after which everyone that wishes to address the council, you have 3 minutes, and we would like for you to keep the minimal of the noise down so we all can hear what everyone is saying. Now, if you would like to have a private conversation, we ask that you would go outside so that we can hear your comments and just respect the person that's coming behind you to speak. So with that being said, Mr. Dufour. And this will go on for all 4 of the public hearings that we have tonight. Mr. Dufour.
Great. Thank you, Council President. I will try to be brief in my remarks on these cases to allow for many people to speak as possible. So this is a request for a conditional use for a food truck park. The owner or the applicant of the property is Mr. Osvaldo Marin, 2522 Connecticut Avenue. The food truck park fronts on, I get the right, make sure I get the right documentation so I can be accurate. Yeah, so the truck park fronts on Veterans, 2211 Veterans, and is bounded by 27th Street to the south, Indiana Avenue to the east, and Idaho Street to the west. The site currently consists of some concrete parking areas, some vacant portions, and one building. As part of the requirements, the applicant conducted an early neighborhood meeting on July 10th, 2024. They invited 24 of the surrounding property owners. No one who was invited attended, except for Councilman Shawath. So currently, the property is zoned C2. Food truck parks are a conditional use in the C2 district. All the property is zoned C2, and really all the property around and pretty much across the street from this site is zoned C2, and all developed as appropriate C2 uses. The applicant is proposing to construct approximately 9,900 to 10,000 square foot food truck park. He has met all of the regulations governing food truck parks. So in this particular case, our regulations require that all the utilities be underground. We limit the number of actual trucks, I think, based on the size. He's not going to have any spotlights or any lighting that's going to create any problem for any of the surrounding properties. He's going to use string lights over the seating area. Put the site plan up. He's proposing 20 food truck parks. The parking for this particular site, parking is calculated for food truck parks at 150 square feet per spot. With the square footage of the food truck park, he's required to have 66. He's providing 62. The planning department evaluated this, and due to the nature of the use, we don't feel this is a significant issue. And he has met all the other requirements that we have for our food truck parks. So the planning department and the planning commission recommended approval for this particular development. That concludes the planning department's presentation.
Okay. Anyone wishes to address the council, would you give your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes, please.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 52 years. I want to make sure that if this development passes, I want to make sure that they're going to be subjected to inspections by the State Board of Health on food safety, just like a lot of the restaurants back here are. And also, strict compliance with the noise ordinance we have on the books in our town. Any kind of out of the way things going on over there that disrupt them people's neighborhood, I expect a severe crackdown, even if it means lifting their permits. So I want to get this thing, make sure they understand. They're not going to come in here and just do whatever they want and disregard the ordinance and the laws of this city and take over a neighborhood. That's not happening. They're going to either comply with the rules, they're going to know it up front, and if not, their actions will have severe consequences. And I'll see to it right at this podium that it does. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Let me just quickly address Mr. Morello's comments. I didn't go through it. I didn't want to go through every single thing, but in our food truck park regulations, we do not allow outside generators. So there'll be no generators. This will have no live music whatsoever. They'll have background music in the area in which they'll have some seating, like portable speaker type stuff. And all the utilities that will be run to every food truck park from the main line are required to be underground. So I don't think, brings up a valid point. You know, this could be an issue with noise, with the wrong kind of development, but, you know, we don't think that since they're following our regulations, like I said, no generators. I mean, I could imagine 20 food trucks with generators could be quite loud, not permitted. So it's all going to be electrical, will be underground, no generators, no live music or anything like that.
Is there anyone else in the audience? Please state your name and address.
Greg Taft, 5th District. I just got really a couple things I need clarified. How many parking spaces did you say they would have?
62.
62? And that's usually in the code today?
Yeah.
And that is including for seniors or parking or the people with handicap parking?
Well, some of the spaces are required to be handicap accessible. Yeah.
And with the same distance and such that we require of
ADA, yeah, sure. In order to get permits, they'll have to meet the code, so the code requires handicap accessible spaces.
Because my only concern is this, and this is going to be put on the shoulders of code and the city, because what we got to make sure of is that whatever our code is across the board for everybody, every business that opens in Kenner, it's got to be an equal playing ground. It can't be this one gets special things and this one doesn't because they're in with the crowd, so to speak. It has to be across the board. And we have to make sure, like for example, the hanging lights. I don't know how safe hanging lights would be. I have to leave that up to the experts. But to me, as a father, a grandfather, and a great-grandfather, I have a problem because I don't know if there's enough lighting if a child, which they do kind of wander off sometimes when you're together, goes to the bathroom. I don't know if the hanging lights is enough. But that is one of my concerns. Now, if it's within code to do that, well, so be it. But I'm not so sure because I've not seen one business in Kenner with that type of lighting. We had lighting so that people could see, and it's also very visible for the police or anybody else that's patrolling the area to know if there's something going on in that particular area when it's lighted well. If it's not lighted well, it's not. So all I'm saying is, I think we have to make sure that our parking ordinances are followed and that the lighting ordinances are followed, if it permits it, that we're in ADA compliance with the restrooms, and that we do have a safe environment, not only for the adults, but also what I worry about is children, because I know how they can all of a sudden be gone somewhere, and you have to go looking for them. So I'm just saying, that's my concern. And if this has got all that, I have no problem. I'm sorry, I went over. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taft. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to address the council on this matter? Please come forward now. Seeing none, I have a motion by Councilmember Sharwood, seconded by Councilmember Dunn to close your public hearing. All council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. I have a motion by Councilmember Sharwood, seconded by Councilmember Dunn for approval. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Wilmot?
I have a few questions for Mr. Dufour. There was a meeting that was had on this ordinance or proposed ordinance, correct?
When you say meeting, you talk about early neighborhood meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, I referenced that in my...
Did notices go out for it?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
And went to the adjacent property owners?
Yes, to the same list that we sent our certified mailings to when we advertised the case for the Planning Commission.
And the Planning Commission, same thing? Notices went out for it?
Oh, absolutely. Every case that comes before you
Right.
has come through the Planning Commission. We have sent out certified letters to the property owners within a 250-foot radius of the subject site.
Okay. And who sent those out?
We
City?
did.
Okay.
And then the applicant, though, is required to use that list to send out letters to invite the surrounding property owners to the early neighborhood meeting.
Okay. As far as landscape plans, do we have any
Yeah,
for this
yeah, I
project?
mean, I didn't touch on it, but the landscape plan has been reviewed and is acceptable for, to the landscape plan reviewer.
And there's, just out of curiosity, I don't know if you know this offhand, but is there any trees or anything under power lines or anything of that nature?
Don't believe so.
I just know it's along Veterans Highway, and that's kind of important.
Let's see. So I want to make sure I get the right. I don't believe that there are any large trees along the Veterans Corridor, just looking at the landscape plan.
So there's no plans to put large trees? Okay, good.
Not large trees, no.
Good, good. That's always important, because I do see some governing authorities, sometimes they do put trees underneath power lines for some odd reason. Also, I guess, loading zones, did we cover that?
Well, they're not required for this particular development, and they do have a trash room for all their trash, so they will be utilizing trash pickup. And yeah, we discussed it with the applicant, and I think it's going to be more frequently than just the regular trash pickup.
And drainage, do we have any?
Well, most of the site was already developed previously. There was no, I don't believe there's any actually what we consider to be undeveloped property. So our regulations allow development to take place if it's already been in place before.
So there's current drainage?
Yeah, and they're not, and so in order to trigger stormwater management regulations, they would need a 7,000 square feet of impervious surface, and they're not anywhere near that.
Okay, and I have, I guess, one other topic I want to touch on, and that's going to be the calculation of the parking. How did you come across or come up with the calculation to come up with the
We
62
researched it
spots?
among a couple of different jurisdictions, and we picked one that we thought was most appropriate, and it's calculated at one parking space per 150 square feet of the food truck park.
Okay, and I understand that we have a Muni Code Section 610, Item 3J3, which also has the same thing. It's a...
Well, if that is the food truck park regulations, yes,
Right.
those were adopted by the council a couple of months ago.
So how many, overall, how many square feet is the park going to be?
The food truck park itself, I believe, is a little bit under 10,000 square feet.
Under 10, okay. Does that include the building that's already there that's going to be?
Well, that's going to be partially
torn down?
demolished.
Partially, but
Yes.
the part
There's-
that's
The only
gonna
real
remain-
building that is going to be there in terms of like a permanently built structure is the bathroom
The bathroom, okay.
structure.
Yeah, I understand that within the Muni Code, it's the parts that are excluded is for parking and landscaping only. The
Well-
rest should be included in that calculation.
Not necessarily.
Okay, can
The-
you explain, please?
Yeah, the food truck park itself is what's actually bringing the people. So the bathroom could be within the food truck park if they wanted it to be, and they could still fit it within that but they decided they were going to put it in an existing building that they're going to partially tear down and turn that into bathrooms, some storage, as well as the trash area to store all the trash.
Okay, so your calculations, it's right under 10,000 square feet?
The actual food truck park itself, correct.
Correct, okay. That's all I have. I appreciate your time and appreciate your information.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, I have a motion by Councilmember Sharwood, seconded by Councilmember Dunn for approval. All council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 8B is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 13,665. An ordinance approving a conditional use for a place of worship located on Lot 14A, Square 23, and Highway Park Subdivision, Kenner Jefferson Parish, Louisiana, which property is zoned C2 in accordance with the site plan dated May 29, 2024, and a landscape plan dated July 9, 2024, both by Professional Design Group. Have a motion by Councilmember Brannigan, seconded by Councilmember Lahat, to open a public hearing. All council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Motion passes 7-0. We're now in a public hearing. Is there anyone here in the audience? Oh, Council, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. The application is for a conditional use to operate a place of worship in a C2 zoning district. The applicant, the owner of the property, Mr. Raisel Villalobos, 3305 Catahoula Court in Kenner, and the applicant is Ms. Anna Phelps, 400 Magazine Street, Suite 150, New Orleans, Louisiana. The applicant conducted their early neighborhood meeting back in March 1st of 2023. The total of 27 invitations were sent out. A total of 9 people attended the meeting, including the applicant and the owner. Issue was raised at the meeting by a neighboring property owner, the availability of parking for the church. The neighbors indicated they did not want their parking lot. These neighbors indicated they did not want their parking lot used for church parking. There's some confusion. The applicant reported that a neighbor expressed concern it could limit the use of their property due to the zoning code. I just want to make this because this has been brought up previously. The only uses that were impacted by the presence of a church or a public school or any school are bars, nightclubs, lounges, adult use facilities. No other use in the C2 is impacted based on their relative location to a church. So I just wanted to make that point because it had been brought up a couple of times. The applicant reported in their report that they're in agreement between the owner, the objecting property owner. However, that particular property owner has said that that's not the case. The planning department did not receive, we did receive a phone call from a property owner in the area who stated their objection to the development. The property is located on lot 14A, which fronts on Florida Avenue, generally bounded by Williams Boulevard to the east, 43rd Street to the north, 42nd Street to the south. The subject site is developed with a 4,500 square foot metal building and the associated parking on the site. The property adjacent, all around the property actually, is Zone C2. Currently developed as offices, retail uses, which are all appropriate in the C2 district. The property adjacent to the west, across the street, is zoned R3, 3 and 4 family, and currently developed as 3 and 4 family residential units. The church is requesting to occupy a 4,500 square foot commercial building with services on Sunday, prayer meetings on Tuesday evenings, and Bible study on Thursday evenings. But additional services could be added and needed based on attendance and congregation size. In accordance with the off-street parking regulations of the Unified Development Code, for this particular development, a total of 75 parking spaces are required. And there's 19 existing spaces on site. The applicant has entered into parking agreements with a neighboring property owner for several of their properties, which added together brings the total parking up to only 45. So they are still 30 spaces short of what would be required at this location for this particular use. The planning department, our recommendation was for denial. The planning commission recommended approval, but it's only a recommendation. So basically, those are the main issues. If you have any questions, I know Councilwoman Dunn said hold off, but I'll step away if anybody else wants to speak.
Councilman Brannigan?
Wendell, how many parking spaces are they short?
30.
30. Okay, thank you.
About 40% of what would be required.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 52 years. I support the planning department's decision for denial. You can't even get a straight answer from some of these property owners, man, on this issue. and they short of 30 parking places, this thing is incomplete. I don't even know why it was even put on the agenda. We shouldn't even be discussing this until they got all their ducks in a row, and they certainly haven't. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to address? Please come now. Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. My name is Anna Elizabeth Phelps. I live in 211 River Oaks Drive, New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm in favor of the church. I'm a member of the church. I'm the agent. The pastor has bought that building, and right now the members of the church only have 89 people, and some of the members are here. If you're members of the church, and if you can wave to the councilman, or if you can stand. Okay, they purchased the building with the time and efforts of the work, and they've been working to use this place for worship. We have here the member of the church that has donated the lot to have the parking, and we want to address to the members of the board that we're going to worship God in the time that the businesses are closed. The main service is going to be in the evening. Our prayer meeting going to be Tuesday between 8 and 9. At this time, all the businesses are closed. All the business that we've been soliciting the parking, they work from 9 to 5. On Sunday, we're going to have our Bible study and worship between 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. So the use of the church in our community is a need. All of us are immigrants. We belong to different countries, and this is the place that we can search our God and also to pray for our community and help. I think that more certainly our city need place of worship in this time and in this society. So we're asking, as a member of our minority group, of the Hispanic group, that will allow us to pray and worship and read our Bible in our building, that we purchase it, and we agree with our neighbors to have our parking during the evening and during Sunday. That is the only place that we gather in our church.
My name is Ruth Morello. I'm the person who owns those 4 properties and the lot in the back that I'm allowing the church to park on the behind one of the
Just
business,
speak up a little
plus
bit.
the lot and the front of the other 3. I have a plan over here. The one of the pictures, it says that is not allowed, but I have another property next to that has 4 more places. So I don't see any inconvenience for this to be denied because it's in no parking lot. Plus, we're going to use the usher that are going to be guiding every vehicles in the back to park, so everybody be comfort and be utilized every space for each car. So I think asking you all and request that please to approve this delegation that I'm asking for the church. I'm one of the members also in there, but I have those properties many, many years. One of the properties that I own it for 40 years, and the other ones I've been on it since the 2018, and the last one I just bought in June of this year. So on that one, we haven't placed the parking lot, which is 4 more parking slots in the front. So I'm begging you all to please approve it, since this is for the worship, for the community, to better the people, and to come in urinaries on Sundays and Tuesdays and Thursdays to have Bible study and to worship. We're not asking for too much, and just to approve it. Please help us with that. This is the pastor.
Ma'am, excuse me, before you step away, how many of the surrounding buildings and properties do you own?
I have 4, plus the lot in the back next to the church.
So how many does that leave that are owned by someone else approximately?
I'm sorry, what is it?
Wendell, excuse me, can we look at the
All
plot?
the parkings that we agree is donated by Ms. Murillo. We're not requesting any other agreement from anybody else.
I'm not, but without, out of agreements, how many of those surrounding properties that could possibly be used for parking, just because somebody pulls up and says, there's a spot, how many of those do you not have an agreement with or are not owned by this lady, please?
The building itself has 16 parking in addition to the agreement.
That's not, my question is, we saw a map that showed where the church was going to be, and this lady is saying she owns some surrounding properties. And you're saying that there's some agreements on some other surrounding properties. I'm trying to see exactly how many this lady owns and how many of those that you don't have an agreement with.
So, as far as we know in the planning department, Ms. Murillo owns, as you see the graphic that's up, Lot A is the church.
Okay?
And Ms. Murillo, I believe, owns Lot B, Lot C, Lot D, and E. And according to what they provided us, with those parking spaces and the church's existing spaces, that still only comes to 45, or 40, I don't remember the exact number.
I understand that. So my question is, and is this a lot?
Yeah, but that's not part of, that's not part of the,
There's no agreement on that.
No,
and it's
absolutely not,
somebody
no.
else's property, correct? This is your property?
Yes, because that's behind 4207 Williams Boulevard.
that's not in the parking agreements. The parking agreements that we have are for the 3 addresses you see, Lot C, Lot D, Lot E, and Lot B.
And not this?
I'm not aware of, I didn't realize she owned that.
Ma'am, is this your property? I feel like a weatherman.
This one right here. This is, I believe, you know, without being, without seeing a parcel map or anything, I believe that the parking you're referring to, Councilman Brennan, goes to the building that fronts on Florida, on the west. Yes, I believe it must go to that building.
Okay. The reason I'm asking that is people are not going to want cars parked in front of their houses, and rightfully so. But whoever owns that property, and Ms. Dufresne, correct me if I'm wrong, is subject to liability if anyone parks on that property to go to worship or to service, and I'm not saying anything wrong with worship or service, but if someone gets hurt on that property, that building owner in front is now responsible and could be sued. So again, I just wanted to clarify if that was in the agreement or if that was owned by this lady who said she owns some other properties around.
Only the shaded areas are where there is actually parking.
Just wanted to
agreement.
clarify. Thank you. Ms. Dufresne, am I correct in that?
Yes, you're correct. And just like anybody's house, if someone trips and falls on their property, they would be liable, or could be liable. I'm not saying they are, but they could be
Understood.
liable, correct.
Thank you.
I would like to clarify to the members of the board that the church is only 89 people. And we only have 89 people on Sunday morning in the main worship service. In the other 2 services, which is Tuesdays and Thursdays, Tuesdays is our prayer meeting. Only adult people are allowed to go to the meeting 8 to 9 because our kids go to the school the next day, so they don't go. And normally the prayer people in that building is 10 people. Same thing on Thursday, which is our Bible study. It's a little bit more people, perhaps 25, but I would just want to let you know that our meetings is only on Sundays, and the maximum capacity that we have right now is 89 people. That's the sanctuary. The rest of the building is classrooms and the office for the deacons. So I think that 75 parking under C2 It's way too much right now, not even for our growth plan in the next 4 to 5 years. And our community is main workers, and they just finished cleaning houses or taking care of the kids or fixing the tires.
Ma'am, I'm going to have to stop you because you've already had 3 minutes to speak. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to address the council on this matter? Please come forward now. Please state your name and address for the record.
Muy buenas tardes, mi nombre es Lenny Villalobos, soy el pastor de la iglesia Enciende una Luz.
My name is Lenny Villalobos, and I'm the pastor of the church.
Soy residente de la ciudad de Kenner, del estado de Luisiana.
I'm a resident of the city of Kenner.
Queremos realmente hacer cosas buenas.
We really want to do something good.
Quiero mencionar que la asistencia a una iglesia y la actividad en ella nos ayuda a llegar a ser mejores personas
People that come to the church help us to be better citizens and better people.
y una mejor influencia en la vida de los demás.
And we have influenced better in the life of others.
En la iglesia se enseña a aplicar principios y aprendemos unos a otros a ser mejores personas en esta vida.
And we teach them to do better with our principles and each other.
Es más poderoso que un sermón y nos fortalecemos al asociarnos con personas que tienen la misma visión.
And my mission is to strengthen my community, teaching the sermons and teaching the good things.
La idea del pastor, la visión del pastor de esta iglesia, que soy yo,
I am the pastor and this is my vision.
es mucho más grande.
It's big.
Es construir un edificio donde podemos sacar a las personas de las calles de las drogas, del alcoholismo,
And reaching people and reaching people from the alcoholism and restore them.
Lo hemos hecho muchas veces, lo hemos hecho y lo hemos logrado.
And I'm reaching people and I'm reaching the lost and I'm put it back to the society.
En mi congregación hay muchas personas que se han
And a lot of
rehabilitado.
those people are here tonight. Can you stand up and wave?
Ellos han sido también productores de una empresa. Yo soy empresario.
And I teach them how to do business. And I'm an example myself. I'm a business person.
Solo que les pido de verdad que se haga posible esto, de abrir esta iglesia, porque es necesario una iglesia en Kenner como esta clase.
So members of the board, I'm requesting you and I'm praying that you allow us to open the church that we purchased the building.
Tengo 32 años de servir a Dios.
And I'm serving God for 32 years.
Y yo sé que Dios va a hacer grandes cosas en Kenner.
And I know that God's going to do great things in Kenner.
Dios los bendiga a todos.
Thank you. God bless you.
Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to? Thank you. Okay.
Hi, Stephen Pettit, David Drive. I'm here on behalf of myself and some adjoining business owners that asked me to look in and speak, and I'll admit I'm a little bit behind the game on this, so I might have every fact right. So if I mess it up, just fix what I mess up or tell me I'm wrong. But the neighbors have some concerns. First off, there were the assertions that came up that some of them supported this that didn't, that some agreements were made that didn't. That's concerning. They also have been made aware that some work might have been done on this property without the proper permitting and inspections, and code enforcement had to get involved, and I think it's easy to see why somebody would be concerned if that's the start of this neighbor relationship. Also, the parking is obviously an issue. That area is already stressed for parking. There's a lot of apartments down there, and I think, 30, 40, 50 years ago when these apartments were made, I don't think there was nearly as many cars as there are now everywhere. I know it's on my street. I have a two-car thing, and when people are over, you don't get it. You don't have enough room. So there's already a lot of stress in that neighborhood for parking, and this one's not even close for how many they need. I know these agreements have been made, but if these are donations, they can be withdrawn at any time. So what do you do if you give it and then the person says, well, I don't want you parking there anymore because somebody does fall and they do sue her and she says, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, right? Now you're back to basically 25% of the actual parking that you need. So this parking issue is a very, very big deal. The 300-foot buffer, you guys probably know this better than me, but I do know this. It goes in a circle, and if it touches anything, you are limited, right? And we're trying to revitalize Lake Town just like we revitalized Rivertown here. And I think there's some businesses that just popped up in Rivertown that wouldn't be able to be opened within 300 feet of this. And that's a big deal. I mean, Lake Town revitalization, I think, is just as important as this Rivertown revitalization. Now, for me, as a person and an attorney, and you know, guys know me, I'm always looking for potential litigation and not getting sued, man. You have a lot of issues here that could come up, anywhere from spot zoning, and I know spot zoning is widely misunderstood, but you know, when you make this big of a leap with parking issues, it may come up, right? What do you tell the people who you denied in the past? What do you tell the people that you want to deny in the future if they're not even close in their parking and stuff like that? And look, for me, it's Kenner. A rising tide floats all boats. If we can make North Kenner look like they did here in South Kenner, that's going to be good for Kenner, and that's good for me because I live in District 3, which is where this is. So my time's up. But questions? Am I done? Thanks.
Is there anyone else?
How y'all doing today? I go by Kenner Cowboy. I'm not going to be long. I'm from 505 Compromise Street. Really, basically, for the party to get started, because my butt's starting to hurt, because y'all seats are very comfortable.
Can you speak into the mic?
Long story short, for the party to get started, y'all seats are very comfortable. My butt's starting to hurt over there. I'm from 505 Compromise, go by Kenner Cowboy. Long story short, man, I just want y'all to stay strong, as always. Give us the same energy and attention as y'all give everybody else. I like the work y'all do. I like that y'all stay on y'all job as y'all always do. Sooner or later, I would like to run for councilman or some part of Louisiana. And I just want to say I love y'all. Y'all be good.
Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to address the council on this issue? Seeing none, I have a motion by Councilmember Brannigan, seconded by Councilmember Lahat, to close the public hearing. All councilmen. I think he wants to.
Someone wants to speak.
I think he wants to speak.
You want to speak on this issue?
Yes.
Good.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Alberto La Cruz. I live in 3912 Post Drive. I have been Christian since I was 14 years old. Right now, I have a degree on graphic design. I have been in the church. Before I moved here from my country, Dominican Republic, I was looking at the statistic regarding Louisiana. And I find out that Louisiana is like one of the most dangerous states on the United States. The reason why we are here, everybody from the church, is because we would like to have Louisiana a safe place for everybody. The only thing that we are doing right now is preaching God. Usually, sometimes we go under the bridge. We have a ministry that is called also Compassion Louisiana. And the only thing that we do is go under the bridge to preach to those people that are without any home, giving to them some food, and saying to them, hey, you know what? In God, you can go back to your life. You can go back to your life. This is the only thing that we are doing right now. In fact, we have a print shop also in Peter Road, 915 Peter Road. And a few days ago, we were installing one sign, and then one American guy was riding a bike, and we started preaching to this person. And we say, hey, you can go back to your life. You can go back to your family. And then we start giving to him something to do. It's the only thing that we are doing. We can see in some of the Louisiana street, many like places where they sell alcohol, and there is no parking lot, and everybody is everywhere, and nobody complain about that. But when we see that some people are like preaching God and worshiping God and helping other person, then we're gonna say, no, we don't want any church here. In our bill, it says, in God we trust. So that means that this country was founded on the God principle. And what is happening right now? We are putting God away. And that's why we are receiving what, unfortunately, what we are receiving right now. Many child doing drug, many child committing many bad things. So please, just let us gather and pray the Lord Jesus. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to address? Please come forward now.
My name is Leroy Sanders. My address is 708 Salvador Road, Kenner. And I'm not actually for or against what the church is trying to do. Actually, you know, I'm a deacon at my church, so I'm actually for the church. But the only problem that I have is, like what other people have gotten up here and said, if the requirements are not met, it is what it is. I mean, we can make some provisions if they're close, within the close proximity. But if you're not even at 50%, then that's an issue. That's a real big issue. And just like someone else said, there are issues with other churches, with other situations that were turned down, that were shot down for all different kind of reasons. And so if we go here today and we approve this, I mean, it's fine with me if you do it, but then you've opened up the door for backlash. So I'm saying if it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. So if we do this, just make sure that we understand that we are going to set a precedence and the floodgates will be open. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to address the council? Please come forward.
Frederick Korndorfer, 4233 Connecticut Avenue. I am the president of the Beachview Heights Civic Association. I have consulted with our members. We were told about this at our latest meeting, which was on Tuesday by Councilman Lahat. I was privy to this prior to that meeting. I did send an email after canvassing my members. We do have a problem with this because we are concerned that this will become a parking issue. We already have a parking issue in our subdivision. We already have people who disregard the fact that we have set up no parking signs. We had to put up these no parking signs because these people were parking in the driveway or parking in front of the driveways of some of our residents. Not to mention the fact that I personally can attest to the fact that in our subdivision, before we put the no parking signs up on 42nd Street, the street was lined with cars. The cars were up and down. It was an unending side of cars, and unfortunately, or I should say actually fortunately, I was involved in not one but two issues where I was coming down the street to go to my home, and luckily was obeying the speed limit in that, which was 20 miles an hour, because had I not been, and we have several people in our subdivision who I have no idea where they might reside. They may reside in the apartment complexes. They may be homeowners. I do not know. But they come zipping down that street. They do not stop at the stop signs. They do not obey the speed limit. Had I not been doing it, I would have killed two children who darted out from between cars because they were chasing balls or playing tag, I'm not sure. Whatever it was only because I was able to stop my car in time that I did not kill these children. It was one of the leading reasons I wanted to have the no parking signs. And it is my concern that, as I understand, they're saying they only have about 89 members now. That is fine, but I know that churches always want to grow their membership. So what happens when their membership grows and they need those parking spaces and they do not have them? At that point, if it's a year or two down the road from now, what stops them from starting to park on the streets, causing a traffic congestion, and possibly indeed causing a problem where some child may be coming out of the church, they may dart out in the street, and then they are killed because a car runs them over, because the person cannot see because we have increased the traffic problem. This is our issue with the church. Not that it is a church, but that it does not have the legal amount of parking space they need. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else? Seeing none, I have a motion by Councilmember Brannigan, seconded by Councilmember Lahat, to close the public hearing. All council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. I have a motion by Councilmember Brannigan, seconded by Councilmember Lahat, for approval.
Councilman Lahat.
Yeah, look, I just wanted to say I enjoyed meeting with Mr. Villalobos and Mrs. Phelps about a year ago when y'all started this process. I do my homework. I'm a representative. I'm not a person. I represent about 10,000 people in my district. My office has received substantial opposition to this, and I think the at-large offices have as well. We looked at everything. We looked at the rules. There is a very high, substantial lack of parking here. The Beachview Heights Civic Association is very much against it, and it's just, it does not comply with the rules, but I appreciate the work y'all did, but I do represent just people, and my people have voiced to me that they have substantial opposition, but thank y'all for being here.
Councilman Brannigan.
Yes, in regards to the parking issues, basically the building that you own has 19 spots available, and you need 75. Now, understand that you take in consideration, because you can pick up 26, but that is not forever. That area on Florida, between Vintage and Joe Yenny, is a lot of traffic. It's condensed. There's cars everywhere. And I really don't think that the people that live across the street would be happy where you say right now you have 89 people in your church. You know, if two people come in a car, that's 45 cars. You got 19 spots, technically. So I will not be supporting this legislation to approve because of the parking issue. And I think that it would be detrimental to the city of Kenner to approve something like this, because it opens the can of worms in the future when we have a similar situation coming up. So I will not be supporting this legislation.
Councilwoman McKinley.
Yes, thank you, Council President. Director Dufour, I have a question, because I noticed one of the parking lots it's unpaved. It just looks like an empty grass lot. Is that, so I know that obviously, is that acceptable for them to park there?
So are you talking about Lot B?
Yes.
Currently, it's not paved. However, as I mentioned to the applicant, in order for that to actually be developed for parking, it would have to be paved. It would have to meet the landscaping regulations. It would have to meet, if there were to be, I don't know the dimensions of the property, but if it's more than 7,000 square feet, it would also require them to meet our stormwater regulations, which would require them to engineer the property to withhold the first inch of water for every storm event. I don't want to say that for sure because I don't know the dimensions of the lot. But for sure, if they want to use that as parking, they're going to have to get permits to pave it. They're going to have to landscape it according to the landscaping regulations for parking, and any other city code regulations that would come in for a paved parking.
So essentially, they would not be able to use this parking lot if they started meeting, if we approved it tonight and they started meeting, they could not use that
Not legally,
parking?
no, it's not paved.
Right, okay. So it's really
So
not
as a
allowed.
rule of
So
thumb,
they don't have
no.
that parking
Just
lot
so that
available.
the members of the council are clear, moving forward, the required parking for a development in our code is required to be paved.
Right, okay.
You can use pervious paving if you want to, but it can't be dirt, or loose gravel or limestone.
Okay, and the other parking lots that are literally around the corner, are those, is there a path for
They're
them,
using,
or-
no, there's no path.
Okay,
They're
so they'd have to
using,
literally walk around the corner?
we made so my assistant director put together a graphic showing the actual distance you would have to walk from one of those three lots on Williams Boulevard. They each have about three parking spaces. From what they submitted, they are submitting an additional 26 spaces to the 19 that are on the site, which is 45, and they're required to have 75.
Okay, and so they'd have to walk around Williams to get to the parking?
Yeah.
Okay.
41st Street, I believe, down 41st, and then around the corner to Florida.
Okay, thank you. I do have other questions with regard to the pastor. Is this church actually, like, are you guys meeting there already? No, okay, so you haven't met there. And you said you have 89 people. Is that, obviously, you know, assuming that every person has a car, I'm sure you have a mix of people in your congregation. How would you accommodate more than half of those people? Because, I mean, if they all drive to get, individual vehicles.
We would like to let you know that 89 people, we divided in 2 masses. There's a group of people in the church that like to go early, which is the first mass between 9 to 11, which is the one group, and 11 to 1, the other one. In other words, the 89 people never are together. They are in 2 services. And concerning to the parking, we have deacons that they direct the park in and out in order that we be good citizens and we don't have problem blocking anything. So it has never been saturated the area at this point. And doesn't gonna be saturated in the long run either, because we divided in 2 mass on Sunday.
What's the average attendance to each mass?
The average attendance on each month is about 35 to 40, depending of the attendance.
Okay, and currently there's only 19 spots. Would
19 spots
be
plus the adjacent that they give.
Right, but that's not sufficient. So that's not, you wouldn't even be able to park there until you paved it.
Exactly, that's what I wanted to make clear.
Yeah.
That you said that if it's approval, there will be a rule and regulation, just like what you're saying, that you want to paver and do the gardening and all that. And yeah, that will be, the pastor was mentioned to me that if that's necessarily, we're gonna have to do it. Now, if they park like in the front of 4207 Williams, there is a pathway all the way to the back going to the church. People will not go around to the 41st Street to go there. Right along there, there is a pathway with blocks. So no members have to go to the end of the street and walk. It's right there, the pathway all the way to the church. There is a pathway in there.
Okay.
You know how you have between the house and 5 feet or whatever? So right there, we have like 2 spaces, and we make blocks to walk all the way to the back, so when it rains, we don't have no water.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so you said the average attendance is about 35 to 40. Okay. So, I mean, that's still not sufficient parking in the actual area. Is there a time frame? Like, if this would be approved, like, where do you guys meet now? Where do you meet now?
Right now, the pastor owns a tire shop. He owns 4 tire shops in the area, and right now all our members go to the tire shop and worship God.
Okay. Okay, and that, so you would not immediately start?
No, the building is already closed, and just want to let you know that all the members, we purchased the building with our tithes and offering, and we want to use this building for our use.
Okay. I mean, I still think that, churches, and I'm a member of a huge church, churches are there to meet the community needs, and I think that all that's great that you guys are doing that work, and obviously I'm a huge, proponent of all of the work that communities do, but I do think that there's really an issue. I do have an issue, and obviously the members that, you want to grow, right? You have 89 members. You don't even have room to grow now.
But what we try to let you know to the board is that we work in a way that is 2 masses and is 2 time frames, that we have never saturated the area at any given time. Number 1, because on Sundays, all the businesses are closed. And number 2, because the 2 days of the services in the evening, the businesses are closed too. And we don't use the 44 parking that we have provided to the vote on zoning in the agreement with our neighbor. So right now, with the lot adjacent and our parking, we have 28 parking, and it's not even filled that section. So we try to let it know to the board that by the time that we grow, we can sell this building and go someone else, but we use it at the meantime for our intention.
Well, unfortunately, I think it creates a dangerous precedent for other churches because, a lot of churches are smaller, and if they don't, their goal is to grow, and if you start out behind the game with not enough, parking and not enough following the regulations, unfortunately, I think,
Excuse me, Councilwoman.
Yes.
With all due respect, Madam Chair,
Yeah.
I'd like to call the question, please.
Yeah, question.
Motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan to call the question. All council members in favor of calling the question, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Motion passes 6-1 to call the question. Back to your motion for approval. I have a motion by Councilmember Brannigan, seconded by Councilmember Lahat for approval. Council members in favor, please say aye. Council members opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Motion fails 0-7. All council members are opposed. Item 8C is a public hearing regarding a resolution authorizing a public hearing to be held on October 3rd, 2024 during the regularly scheduled meeting of the Council of the City of Kenner to allow the citizens of Kenner the opportunity to comment on the Kenner Police Department's application to the United States Department of Justice Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program, fiscal year 2024, local solicitation of $13,215 for police officer overtime for the law enforcement activities and criminal investigations. I have a motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember Wilmot, to open the public hearing. All council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. We're now in a public hearing regarding item 8C, as the clerk has read.
We're still in the council meeting.
Is there anyone in the audience wishing to come forward to address the council on this matter? Please come forward. Seeing none, I have a motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember Wilmot, to close the public hearing. All council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. I have a motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember Wilmot, to approve. All council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 9 is ordinances for the sale, purchase, transfer, lease, and/or alienation of immovable property. We have none. Item 10 is opening of bids. We have none. Item 11 is reclassification of zoning for final passage. Item 11A is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 13,664, an ordinance amending ordinance number 11,062 adopted by the City of Kenner, Louisiana on March 17, 2016, entitled Unified Development Code of the City of Kenner, Louisiana, more particularly amending and rezoning Lot 1, Rivertown Industrial Park / Old Kenner Subdivision, Kenner Jefferson Parish, Louisiana, from MU mixed use and R2 two-family residential to LI light industrial, and directing, authorizing, and empowering the planning director for the City of Kenner to alter and amend the official zoning map of the City of Kenner. I have a motion by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember Sharwood, to open your public hearing. All council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. The planning department has a presentation.
Yes, thank you. The owner of the property is Command Properties, LLC, 66445 James Street in Mandeville. The applicant representing the owners is Missy Quigley from Sherman Strategies, 800 Barone Street, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70113. The property fronts on Reverend Richard Wilson Drive and is generally bounded by the YMV Railroad right-of-way to the north, Decatur Street to the east, and Farrar Street to the west, and it fronts on Reverend Richard Wilson. The lot is part of a larger tract of land that is commonly referred to as the Morgan Tract. The Morgan Tract was the home for a long time of the Louisiana Box Company, which operated on both sides of what used to be called 3rd Street, and also had a rail line running into the property to service the use. On July 22nd, 2024, the applicant conducted an early neighborhood meeting. They sent out 32 notifications to the surrounding property owners. 26 of the neighbors and interested parties attended the meeting. Comments from those in attendance. Get to the right sheet. I don't have my sheet, but I can tell you that the comments involved issues related to drainage and uses that weren't particularly relevant to this particular rezoning case. The lot is Lot L, Lot 1 is currently split zoned with an approximately 150-foot deep portion of Lot 1 fronting on Reverend Richard Wilson, zoned mixed use, and the remaining portion of Lot 1 zoned R2, two-family residential. All the remaining lots in the Morgan Tract are zoned light industrial. The property adjacent to the north includes the YMB Railroad and is undeveloped. The property to the south of the Morgan Tract, across Reverend Richard Wilson Drive, designated as Lot E, is zoned light industrial and is part of the reliable soil development. The lots adjacent west of Lot 1 along Farrar Street are zoned R2. These lots are developed as a mix of uses, including commercial along Reverend Richard Wilson and single and two-family residential, along with a few vacant lots. Lot 2 in the Rivertown Industrial Park Old Kenner subdivision, located adjacent to the east of Lot 1, is zoned light industrial and is also owned by the applicant, Command Construction. The purpose of the rezoning is to remove the split zone designation on Lot 1 and to rezone Lot 1 to light industrial to facilitate Command Construction's use of the property for their business, which will require storage of some equipment, construction equipment, pipes, and the construction of a warehouse building to conduct office activities for their business and repairs on some of the equipment. This particular request is not considered a spot zone, as all the property to the east of this lot is currently zoned light industrial. And it is part of the original Morgan Tract. Historically, the property was zoned for industrial use up until the 70s. And then at some point, I could not find any information on the rationale, but a portion of the Morgan Tract for where Lot 1 is was zoned to R2 and has remained that way for the last 52 years. Completely undeveloped. The planning department reviewed the issues related to this, and we recommended approval, as did the planning commission. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Also, I have the representative of the applicant is here if you to address any questions you might have as well.
Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to address the council on this matter in the public? Okay. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
My name is Vanessa Matthews, 1917 Short Street, Rivertown. I'm here representing the Kenner Civic Association members. The residents of Old Kenner are against rezoning Lot 1, case number Z524, for many reasons, especially because we are living in a hostile environment. Hostile, I mean unfriendly and unsympathetic to any plans or concerns for the community, environment, and living conditions of those members of this community. To be direct and more specific, we feel that our community is already overburdened with industrial businesses that harm our quality of life. The air we breathe is poor because of dust, dirt, sand in the air. Our homes, streets, and properties always flood because the pipes, ditches, and canals are too small to handle large developments, especially dealing with industrial developments, which will further affect our drainage, property values, and our air quality. It is difficult to believe that the proposed unit development would protect the surrounding neighborhood and minimize or eliminate the detrimental effects on the quality of life and protect our community from future uses by the present owner or new owner, for the simple fact that you or no one can guarantee this. And if approved, no one can guarantee that there will be additional plans that will follow that would further negatively impact our community. My hope today is that you, Councilwoman Dunn of District 1, and the City Council understand our concerns of our people, and do the right thing and vote no to this zoning change. In conclusion, we, the members of the Kenner Civic Association, are unanimous when we say, stop industrial expansion. Vote no. Thank you.
If we could, please refrain from clapping at this time and hold all that till the end. Next.
Good evening, council members. My name is Missy Quigley from Sherman Strategies. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. We are happy to be here, and we thank the planning staff for helping us get through this process. The owners have bought this property in 2019. When they purchased it, the previous owner and the appraiser told them that this lot was zoned light industrial. Everyone assumed it was because it's part of the Morgan Tract, and historically this was used industrial. And so they didn't find this out until this past year, and they had no recourse against the seller or the appraiser for telling them because the statute of limitations had gone. This is a local company that we have some people here from the company. This is not an industrial use. It's just trying to fix an error that was the wrong zoning of this. The proposed use is just basically to have an office and a warehouse and to store things. And if their business is going well, there will be nothing there because it's mostly for in between of when they're doing things. There will be no chemicals on site. There will be no paint on site. There will be nothing that is going to cause any sort of noxious dust, no harmful chemicals. The biggest trucks that they will use to move equipment are Ford F-250s, which are not large trucks. They are going to do everything they can to mitigate. They've already started construction on a fence. They've gotten permitting for that, and there's going to be a nice opaque fence. The building is we don't have actual plans yet, but the building is going to be modeled on the Levy District building that is right down the block. We're going to mimic the way that it looks, make it look nice. We're going to comply with all the landscaping. We're going to comply with all the storm water. We plan on going over and above because we understand the concerns. We're going to orient anything that could be noisy away from the residential section. We want to work with these neighbors. And in fact, after our neighborhood meeting, a bunch came up to the owners of the company and inquired about job opportunities and told us they were excited about it. We really want to be good neighbors, and we're not trying to sneak anything in. We're not Reliable Soil. We're a local company that just wants to be able to use our property for the highest and best use that we were promised when we purchased it. I'm here for any questions, and I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Was there anyone else?
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 52 years. I sympathize with the people down there in South Kenner, and I'm opposed to any more industrial expansion myself, and I'm going to tell you why. We heard this song before, this song and dance before. This is nothing new. Cornerstone just leaked 1,000 gallons of sulfuric acid that impacted the people in Rivertown down there. Now you got River Branch wanting to expand its landfill, wheeling dealing with St. Charles Parish. That's going to impact the residents of South Kenner. What I want to know is where's our seat at the table on this landfill expansion? I sympathize with the people of South Carolina, and I oppose any more industrial expansion down there. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Greg Taft, 5th District. I just really have one question. Did a letter or did a notice go out to the residents that there was a change coming forth, or they would like to impose a change? Yes. There was? And did people attend that meeting?
Yes.
And the same thing we're hearing tonight? Yes. All right, well, there you go. They had their meeting. I mean, I'm going to break it down this way. This reminds me of the UDC boat issue. They decided in their infinite wisdom, because one area wanted to do away with boats. So they said, okay, we're going to put in the UDC, you cannot have a boat in your driveway. Well, they didn't hold a town meeting. They didn't hold nothing until after they passed it. After they passed it, we had to fight. And we had town hall meetings in every district. Now, the people's voice should be heard. That's all I can say. And if we ignore that, shame on us. Now, I don't have a dog to hunt in this area. But I will say this. As a resident, if you was doing this in my neighborhood, I'd probably have issues too, because you're changing something. And if we came to that meeting and spoke out against it, and you still voted to do it, that to me is a problem. And that's what I saw when that UDC was passed. They didn't care about the citizens until we loaded every council meeting with 50, 60, 70 people. And that's a shame that you have to do that to get your attention. Now, y'all wasn't part of that, but I will say this. You have a chance that if the people are saying they don't want it, I mean, you should listen to the people. That's who voted you in. That's who you are supposed to represent. Thank you.
And I live at 421 Felix Street. And my name is Yvonne Spates. I live at 421 Felix Street. And I heard her say, if we do everything right. But I also heard her say that they had already bought the property. Now, if they've already bought the property, and if they do everything right, then, maybe everything will work out. But if they don't do everything right, what's going to happen to us? Because we already have problems. We had a problem when I had 10 inches of water in my yard. We had a problem when I didn't have 10 inches of water in my yard, but my house still flooded. Now, I heard you say that, you had kind of fixed stuff, but you didn't say it was fixed. But we need to fix stuff, so that we don't have to say if things go right. I don't want an industrial anything in our community. Our community is already kind of messed up. But if you do something else over there, it's going to be worse than what it is. So let's don't put any industrial things over there so that we won't have any more problems than what we already have. Thank you.
I just wanted to clarify, a couple of things. As the planning and zoning director, I don't want to make it very clear. Under our zoning code, absolutely no hazardous or obnoxious chemicals or substances are permitted to be stored in the light industrial zoning district. It's illegal. So there will be no chemicals or anything like that on that property at all.
Good evening. Darrell Price, 539 Salvador Road in Kenner. We think about coming in here and getting before the council and asking for things. we're never heard. Rivertown is in this district as well as our neighborhood. And there's more attention paid to this street than anywhere else in this district. And it's a shame. You know, I understand that you want to bring business in. I get that. But sometimes you got to consider the people who vote you in, who pay taxes, and who deserve the quality of life. Many of you would not want this behind your houses, and you know it. You want nice streets in your neighborhood where your kids can play in parks. We deserve the same thing. So when we come in here and we voice our concerns, you act like we're bitter and we're mad. But think about if it was you every time. When you're never heard and whoever comes along just do what they want in your neighborhood. Consider that. You consider it when you're ready to run for office because you show up. But after that, we don't see you. And what people got to realize in this district is that we got to band together and we got to start having a voice. You hear what I'm telling you? Because it's obvious. You care nothing about this side of Kenner. You don't. And you don't care who sit on the seat. And it's not right. So understand when we come in here, we're hurting. Because we continue to get trampled over. Right now, you put drainage to stop it from flooding here. But you know how high that water getting back there on our houses now? But you care not. It's only when something happens, the smooth talk comes along. Then you go back to your ways. Come on, man. Consider us. We're human beings. We're people. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Pearl Gloston. I'm the owner of the property at 414 Duncan, 460, 418, 420. You all are talking about bringing in commercial into a residential area. Later on, after you all do all that, if you go down Lloyd Price, the streets are so raggedy. I've been living there in 1963, my father purchased that property. Henry Gloston, he didn't pass on. So once you all give them the permit to bring this property in, and they decide to bring F-250s, F-350s, and they say that their business are growing, then they're gonna start bringing bigger trucks in and tearing the streets up. They already took the pressure off of Williams and brought it all the way around to Duncan Street. When my father refused to sell to the airport, they took pipes and they put it on Lloyd Price and they put it on Duncan Street. So we have no say-so, the 7 houses we have on Duncan Street, because the city of Kenner decided that they want to change all the pipes, didn't even ask us if they could use our property. They didn't tow all the driveways up. The drainage is all covered. We got flooded. We have never flooded. My father purchased that property in 1963. We went through Betsy on Duncan Street. We didn't get flooded. They brought in all this commercial, tractors, 18-wheelers, dump trucks are constantly going up and down the street and stuff. Why? It's commercial now. So by us not selling, they don't care. They just take the trucks, they go up and down, tractors all day long. They turn the water off to do what they have to do to accommodate Rivertown. And nobody knocks on the doors and tell the tenants they're turning the water off. They get up to go to work, they have no water. They call me, they say, we don't even have water. They come, they turn the water on for the tenants for 10, 20 minutes, and they turn the water back off. They don't knock on the doors, they don't put any notice, but they're trying to take the pressure off of Williams, because after you pass Racetrack, everything is flooded. Now Duncan Street is flooded. They're taking Duncan Street now, they're bringing the drainage from Williams to Duncan Street to under the Duncan Street tracks now, and we are being flooded to accommodate the commercial area. What about the residential area? We pay taxes too. They don't even try to accommodate the tenants that's living there, not even the homeowners. So I am against rezoning that to be light industrial, because I tried to purchase some property and bring it back from the aviation department in the city of Kenner. They would even give me a permit. They told me to go and bid on it. When I say I could buy it, they told me, oh no, I'm sorry, ma'am, we're not gonna sell it. But they sold it to him in 2019, but they wouldn't sell it to me. Thank you.
Again, my name is Leroy Sanders, 708 Salvador Road, Kenner. And one of the reasons that I'm up here, excuse me, is because I have a problem with when you all take residential property and then make it commercial. The only problem with that is you take it from us as residential, you give us residential prices, then you turn right around and make it commercial. Now it's commercial prices. And I'm not speaking about something that I think, I'm speaking about what was actually done to me right here in Kenner, right where the levee board sits. I had a lot sitting over there on that street, and the levee board actually came to me and took that lot, forced me to sell that lot to them as commercial, as residential property, and then turned around and made it commercial, and it was evident that that's what they were doing it for when they was taking it, but yet they didn't bother to give me a commercial price, okay? But the other thing that I want to speak on, what the young lady said about if we do everything right. Now, pretty much most of us in here are in business, and normally when we go and we buy something, we purchase something, one of the things that they tell us that we should or are supposed to do is do our due diligence. Am I correct? Okay? And to me, if I'm doing my due diligence, if I have a lawyer, if I have a real estate agent, if I have whomever, that's their job. Okay? And they're supposed to do title searches and everything else to research this property and see what type of property it is and what type of use it is supposed to be for. So what you're telling me is the people that you paid messed up, and it's okay, okay? So now, one point, you say, if we do everything right. So now, if you're telling me, if you do everything right, is that in the future or in the past? Because in the past, you didn't do everything right because you bought property and you didn't even know what kind of use you can use it for. Okay, so now in the future, if you tell me we're gonna use it like this, and then later on you decide you wanna do something else, now you've made another mistake, so it's, oh, I messed up. But now you messed up, but now you're using it like that. Now we're dealing with it. You understand what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is, you're saying if we do everything right, but you haven't done everything right. And so are we supposed to just take it that you are going to do everything right and hope that you do? But if you don't, I'm getting water in my house. I'm getting a foot of water in my house because we didn't do everything right and we put pumps on the airport that belong to the city of New Orleans. And nobody monitored the pumps. But we didn't do everything right. So, I mean, I'm sorry. I've been here a long time. I grew up here. And I'm tired of people and expecting other people to do everything right. And that's why we're here, because we're trying to do everything right to let you know now before you make a decision that we don't want this.
Jerome Posey, 325 Plantation Drive. Plantation Drive in Centennial is surrounded by, mixed-use industry and residential. Somebody just moved in across the street from us, built over there. Nobody didn't ask us about that. You know what I'm saying? We didn't hear nothing about R&O across the street. We don't need light industrial. We had flooding back there. What we need, I need our infrastructure fixed. That's what we need. We need that. You see? Yeah, you bought the property in 2019, but you come through the front door and buy it. You bought it through the back door. Because if you bought it through the front door, you didn't know what it was zoned as. You paid that much money. If I'm going to pay that much money for a Cadillac, I'm going to know it's a Cadillac. You bought it through the back door. You call that back door infringe. Now you want to infringe on us. If they do what's right like they did to the church, no. You cannot do that with that property. That is the rule. That's the rule this body set when they zoned it residential. And that's all we said. You know what it was when you bought it. You know it wasn't no apple. You know it was aluminum when you bought it. If I'm gonna pay that much money, I'm gonna know about the property, but you're gonna come here right now and try to infringe on our community. Because you got in through the back door with the property. Everybody, it don't take no rocket science to know how you got it. Everybody know when you paid that much money for that property. What that property was zoned as. Give us a better drainage system. It don't take no rocket science to fix this water coming off Jefferson Highway, going down in our gaps, flooding us about back here. We're surrounded by industry back here. Look around us. Look at Centennial. Look what we're back there. We got nothing but industry around us. We don't need no more. Yeah, we need help. But you're trying to box us out now. Because once you rezone it, you can't put no more houses there. If you go light industrial, that's it for residential. Then what? They'll start creeping in, just like you said for the church. You let one do it, everybody gonna do it. They just start creeping in on us. That's all we asking. Ask for a little help. We don't need that. Give us a green space. Give us something back there. Something to brighten up our community. Because once you let that back in, the value going down. We don't have nothing. We don't have nothing back there now. We just need a little help back there. We don't need no light industry back.
How y'all doing? Hello? All right. How y'all doing? I'm Mr. LeBeau. All I'm here just to say, I just want y'all to do right. If you say y'all gonna help out, help out. You know what I'm saying? The people in the community, that's all I ask. You know what I'm saying? Y'all do the right thing. Don't do the wrong thing. You know what I'm saying? I empathize with everybody in here. You know, I know y'all want money, y'all, you know what I'm saying, trying to provide jobs, y'all trying to do things and help out. But all I want y'all to do is just do the right thing. That's all I ask. Please don't do the wrong thing. Because I'm not trying to be mean or anything like that, but I know a lot. And I don't say nothing. This is my first time ever coming up here. A lot of these judges and magistrates know about me. So please, just do the right thing. That's all I ask.
Sarah Wilkins Tucker, 324 Plantation Drive, Kenner. I've been a resident of Plantation about 45 years. That wasn't yesterday. And on our street is about 28 homes. Every last person that lives on Plantation House is paid for. But guess what? When the storm came by, we had water and we were standing at our back doors praying and said, Lord, stop the rain. This much more. Every house on Plantation would have been flooded. Would you all like your houses to be flooded? No. But guess what? Nobody digs a ditch. Nobody cleans a ditch. We have a ditch behind the Knox's house that goes all the way to the lake. If I pick my phone up and let you see the picture, they have grass, trees. How is the water gonna get off a plantation? Those two lots that one across from Oakland and the other one on Santana, when they put whatever on those lots, what's gonna happen to Plantation? We are gonna be flooded out. And guess what? Somebody one day is gonna come by and say, oh, we would like to buy your homes. So when you come by and say you wanna buy the homes that I have paid for, guess what? The little money that you're gonna offer us, it's not gonna be able to buy just a lot. So guess what? I'm 76, I'll have a house note. Would any of you like to have a house note? No. No. You don't get money from Social Security like that. Not at all. So please consider Plantation Drive as being one of the oldest neighborhoods in South Kenner. And it's a kept up neighborhood. It's not a trashy neighborhood. Everybody cuts their grass, keeps their animals in their yards. There's no grass like this on Plantation. It's all old people. Our oldest member is 91 years old. You think that man needs to go buy a new house? And he lives by the track, and I'm sure his house got some water. Thank you.
I had one more question. I wanted to see if anybody was taking any notes of anything we were saying, because it was very important to us. Like this lady was saying that there was grass in her ditch on Plantation. If somebody would probably tell us how we could get some information on how she could get her grass out of her ditch before she leave here. You know, because if she's got trees in there, they've been in there for a long time. You know, if somebody could tell us how we could keep our streets from flooding, not just when the airport, you know, not just that. Our street flooded even before the airport. They flood all the time. If somebody could tell us how or who to call to keep these things from happening, that would kind of make us a little bit pleased. Some of these things could kind of help us now, you know, instead of somebody over there playing with their phone, somebody looking at us like we crazy, like you don't know what we talking about.
Have you already?
Like we are your constituents.
Have you already spoken on
We
the
need to
matter?
help you.
Ma'am, I believe she's already spoken, Madam Chairman.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this matter?
Hello, my name is Patricia Butler. I live at 427 Coleman Place, Kenner. I'm not good at public speaking at all. But what I am wondering is, are we standing here wasting our time trying to express our concerns? Because I see already that this company has, well, first of all, it already floods at the Malcolm Kenner Apartments on 3rd Street anyhow. But I see where this company has built a ditch from 3rd Street past 2 cemeteries. That's the Belgrove Cemetery and Loving Charity Cemetery. They built a huge ditch. They've cut down trees off that land what they're building. They're putting up poles and for fences. So has some kind of agreement been made already? You don't have to get permits from codes to do this type of processing? That's all I want to know. How can you do all this unless you have permits? And I'm through.
Kasim Short, pastor of Thomas United Methodist Church here in Kenner. You know, in the next couple of days, we're going to celebrate National Night Out. It's a time where we all come together and celebrate community and celebrate being a good neighbor. Being a good neighbor. Reflect on that. How can we be a good neighbor and we have a developer that have had issues here in Jefferson Parish and actually issues in Orleans Parish with their business practices? How can they be a good neighbor? How can we as a community be a good neighbor? See, in order for us to foster growth within a community, there should always be an open dialogue with the citizens, public-private entities, to make sure that we are able to hear all voices to be heard and respected. One of the things the representative here from Kenner said that the issues that was raised in a meeting were relative to the zoning issue. But I beg to differ. Those are issues that was raised, so they're still relative to the issue because it was raised by the constituents that you represent. Amen. It's important. Voices need to be heard, respected. And as we look at that, making sure that we are good neighbors, why not deny this request tonight and allow us to come back with the developers and look at how we can work together to make something beautiful for the community? We talked about having a planned unit development. That's still possible. It's still possible for this development so that all voices can be heard, can be respected, and documentation can be obtained so that we can make sure that the things that they say is not going to happen on that property do not happen. So we have assurances in writing that they will not happen on that property. So the question for you today, and it's not going to end today, how as a council, how as administration, how are you going to be a good neighbor for the people you represent in this community? Thank you.
Barbara Soniat, 315 Pollock Place, Kenner. I amen what the pastor just said. I am opposed to this ordinance. However, if you are inclined to support this, support it by putting in writing what this lady said would be done if things were done right. Put it in writing, attach it to the ordinance, because if it's not there, it's just words. It has no power, it has no meaning. It needs to be in writing. So I ask you to defer this until you and the company can sit down and work out an ordinance that meets the needs of the company as well as the residents of South Kenner. Letters were sent out to people within a small part close to the proximity of this property. But what happens on that property affects a much wider range of people. There are some things that you would say aren't relevant to this ordinance, like the fact that the trees that were on that property way in the beginning were cut down without a permit, and there were no consequences. No consequences to businesses demolishing trees, which contributed to increased flooding in the area. Today, there are ditches. There's a ditch that's being dug right next to the cemetery. There are trees that are being cut down right next to that cemetery. What impact is that going to have on that cemetery that has historical value to this community? No, it's not that property lot 1, but it's relevant. Things are being done ignoring not just the residents of South Kenner, but ignoring the permitting process in the city of Kenner. That's not right. So I ask you, don't do this without sitting down, reaching a compromise with the people who are going to be affected by this. Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
Do I have an opportunity to respond to some of the comments?
No, ma'am, I'm sorry. No, ma'am, I'm sorry. I apologize. Each person gets 3 minutes. I have a motion by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember Sharwood to close the public hearing. All council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. I have a motion by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember Sharwood.
I would like to make some comments on this at this time. There was a public hearing on this property on July the 22nd. We followed the protocol that we do on every issue that when it comes down to zoning. So protocol was followed. The residents were notified. We had the meeting at Oakland Baptist Church. We have a list with the name and addresses of those that were there. So Command Construction was there to answer all of the questions that needed to be answered. That was just the beginning. There really wasn't any, people that were not opposed to it that was there, because only one person, and I think that was Clay that was there, that lives on Clay Street, and he kept saying that, they want our property. Well, let me explain something to you about this property, because there's a lot of misinformation, even what I heard tonight. We are not talking about the property near the cemetery. 20 acres of that property is already L1. It has been light industrial since 2016. The whole tract have already been zoned, and that's what it was zoned. Before that, when the box company was there, it was already commercial. So as a result of that, this one lot that's near Farrell, we are just taking that one lot, and that whole tract will be L1. And that is the only issue here tonight. Now, as far as the project about the pipes and the flooding in Rivertown, that money was appropriated under the former council person from 2006. That money was never used. The administration and myself decided that they would move forward and see if that money was still available, and that money was. So that's the reason why you see that project going forth in Rivertown. It's not that people think more of Rivertown, it's just that these projects that we are working on was already done by the previous administration that never used that money or had those projects done. And so now we are in the process of getting those projects done. Now, did I get calls? Yes, I did. And I will tell you what they were. There was about maybe 5 or 6 calls. Some of them didn't say anything, but just say, vote no. The ones that left their name and their number, I personally returned their phone calls and asked them why did they want me to vote no. For number one, they didn't even know what they were voting no on. We just want no, okay. So when I began to explain to them that we are not, let me explain this again. We are not rezoning 20 acres of land. That land is already zoned L1. It's only this one piece that's a part of that land that we are bringing in to be L1. Now, you are asking about what will go there. No, when they apply for their permits, like what you are talking about near the cemetery, no one have applied for a permit for that, but guess what? They don't have to come before this board because it's already L1. That whole tract is L1, the whole thing that you're looking at. Now, I get complaints about things, for example, at the church, and I'm almost finished. They asked us about the grass growing up so high on the property. And if any of you all was at that meeting, you know that that's what they asked, about cutting the grass down because they couldn't walk on the tracks or whatever. Now, I spoke with the owner of that, and he started to clear the grass out because that's what was asked at that meeting at Oakland Church. They weren't asking about the rezoning of this one lot, L1, to bring it along with the other property is. So nobody is asking anybody to bring up anything that talks about L1. It's already L1 except for this one piece of property. Now, as far as the flooding, nothing has happened with the property. So if there were flooding, it's only because the pumps were off. Because you can't blame that on somebody trying to develop. Because if they do, they have to put in larger pipes. And that's what have not happened, not under this administration, but under the previous administration. And we are trying to correct everything that was wrong. We are trying to bring this back into commerce. There have been nothing, and people are just saying, vote no, and they don't even know why. When I spoke with somebody else, with a couple other people that lived in the area that called and said, vote no, oh, is that all it is? Well, let me talk to my neighbors, because it don't even make sense. You mean to tell me it's just one lot that's already there, attached to the whole Morgan? Yes, that's all I'm talking about. So all of that misinformation about pollution and this and that, no. Is the levee board polluting anything? It's the best looking building out there. And this building has to come up to the current code, not what everything was done that was old. It has to come up to the current code. There have been so much misinformation calling the office, and when I personally spoke with these people, they weren't against it. They were just told, call and say no. They weren't even aware that it was just one lot and everything else was L1. And the most of them, there were people that were calling, oh, you've had your turn. There were people that was calling that don't even live in Kenner. Don't even live in Kenner. And only this one lot that's already connected to the whole L1 that's already there, that's been grown up with grass, and nobody complained about that we want to bring into commerce. Now, what they going to do with the other L1, that 20 acres, I can't tell you that because it's already L1. And then they were saying that people were going to have their property taken. How can somebody take your property unless you sell it or you don't pay your taxes? That is not true. They have not taken, no, you've had your turn. They have not, nobody is looking to take anybody's property. This property is already bought and owned. I'm not talking about other property, I'm talking about this property that we are talking about tonight that we want to bring back, we want to bring into commerce by allowing 150 feet of the same tract that's already L1 to come into compliance. It's just as simple as that. But all of the lies, all of the misconstruction, all of the things about heavy this and heavy equipment and heavy that, all of it is a lie. All of it is a lie. No. I'm talking, and I'm only talking about this one. No. I'm telling you what this is about. No,
She's got to do it.
I'm telling you this is one piece of property, and all the rest of that property is already L1. And nobody have asked for a permit because they would have to come back. We are only talking about one piece of property. We have nothing to do. With that 20 acres. Nobody is asking nothing about the 20 acres. only one piece of property that needs to come and be a part of what's already there. So nobody is coming and doing nothing, making no industrial park and all of this. That is a lie.
We're going to
That
have
is
to
not
ask the audience to please refrain and allow the chairman to speak.
Yes.
The council did not do this when you spoke, so
That's right.
please remain in order and keep your comments down while the chairman is speaking.
Because
Thank you.
I think that many of you all don't understand that part of it. I have been working entirely to bring things into compliance, and I have done that. I have gone on Farrell Street. We have toned down blight. That was their concern. We have done that. So this particular property, we only bringing it up to make this one piece of property be with the rest of it, and that is it. Now, you can walk out, that's fine, but I sat patiently and heard you talk about everything. No, baby, I don't need their money, but I did not. I don't need that. But with that being said, I'm finished. Wendell, would you like to answer some of the questions that was asked? Because we heard a lot of things that was going there was not the truth.
Yeah, no, this is, I mean,
Only
I
that
made
one.
the planning department's presentation. I write the planning department and the planning commission recommend approval. I think Ms. Quigley highlighted some of the important things. It's always been our understanding that the property that is under rezoning will likely be just used for storage.
That's
They're going to create a buffer.
There will be a
The
buffer.
road that they have to build into their property will be built on the western edge, so there'll be a good 50 or 60 feet between the backs of the houses on Farrar and where any equipment would be stored.
Right.
It has to be completely landscaped with trees all along there. So, I mean, those are the requirements of the code, and they have said they are going to meet and exceed those requirements. So, I mean,
Let me ask you, is there anything illegal about this rezoning?
no, absolutely
Okay,
not.
Okay.
Councilman Brannigan would like to speak, Madam Chairman.
Councilman Brannigan?
Okay, this piece of property, I was told, Wendell, can you verify this? That this is a piece of property that is basically landlocked and there's no public access to it.
That's correct. It's,
Because
if you look
on-
at the,
on
I'm gonna
the-
have her pull it up so I can show you on the map where it's
Okay,
actually
perfect.
located.
And also, during some of the comments that were made, there were things said that nothing's happening in District 1. And I know that there have been many updates in District 1 for recreation for adults and children. 350,000 went to tot light lots, 370,000 went to outdoor bathrooms at Lawson, 100,000 is going to LED lights at Lawson, 225,000 went to the splash pad. That's over $1 million of improvements that Councilmember Dunn has been able to secure for her district. And so I don't know if y'all are not seeing what's going on, but obviously she's doing something right in District 1 coming to recreation. Okay, on the landlocked deal, can you?
Well, if you look at the map I have up, the blue outline is Lot 1. And you can see that, so the R2 portion, just real quick, the R2 portion is the portion in orange, and the mixed use is the portion in red. So the mixed use portion in red fronts on Reverend Richard Wilson. There's really there's no public rights of way at all into this property. So, I mean, unless the city wants to build streets, this property has sat like this for the last 50 plus years because there's no real mechanism for it to develop. At least residentially, you need streets and all that infrastructure and all that kind of stuff.
Correct.
And we don't have that in this.
So based on that scenario, it's very expensive to build streets, put drainage in, utilities in, and all of that. And it's been like this for 50 years. The rest of the property is zoned L1. This piece should be zoned L1.
I mean, it was originally developed and zoned industrial under the original zoning in the city. I tried to look and I could not find anything that suggested why it was. It's kind of interesting. So the portion of the land over on the east side by the cemetery was originally residential. And this portion on lot 1 was industrial. And then somehow, I don't know how it happened, but the rest of it became industrial and this piece became zoned R2. I wish I had an explanation. I could not find anything in any documentation that suggested what was going on in the late 60s and 70s when this was done. But I can tell you that for the last 50 years, it has been zoned R2 and it had nothing, it's just been sitting there.
Thank you, Wendell.
Is there any other discussion? Councilman Wilmot?
I know we have people that are in opposition to this legislation. I'm just curious, and probably half of those folks already exited because they're upset. But the people who are here, could you please stand up if you're in opposition? I'd like to see who's remaining. So you still have a significant amount of people here in opposition. I really appreciate it when people come together and they voice their opinions on legislation. I think it's so very important. And I agree with Al Marilla and Mr. Greg Teft on when people get together and they come and support or against legislation, you got to listen. So anyway, I just wanted to thank y'all for coming tonight, and I just want to let you know I'm going to oppose this legislation. And I appreciate all y'all coming, and again, the voices of Al Marill and Greg Teft, and you had a reverend here tonight as well. I think he left, but oh, thank you. Thank you for being here, and your words were resounding.
No, we'll finish with that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think they've already been past that point.
We've already motioned that.
Yeah, so it's
Mr.
anyway, but that's all I wanted to say, and I thank y'all for coming. Thank you.
You close that part of it. Ronnie, Councilman Short.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, we had something like this similar in District 2. Wasn't for rezoning, but for buying and selling a piece of property. This is only a rezoning. No building, nothing's going to happen until they present some type of plans for the structure to occupy it. Right now, all it is, it's grass, been grass for many years. The developer, they may not want to do anything with it. This piece of property that was in Kenner, some people opposed to it. It went through, and guess what? It's still a piece of grass. They haven't done anything with it. Any building has to come for code. Your drainage problems, totally understand that. You got ditches that are now being cleaned. I hear both that one, the dishes aren't cleaned, and I hear the dishes are being cleaned. Your ditches have to be dug for the water to flow. So it means the grass, we're going to leave it like that so the water won't flow? So I understand everyone's concern, really do. I got airport buyout property next to residential, and this is special industry, even more than what this light industry is. So I understand your concerns. We have to move forward and at least start the process. Just rezoning this small little piece before any buildings can be going. Something's got to come first, the horse before the chariot, and this is just the first step. I understand your concerns, But before a building can be built, it has to meet the stringent codes. Drainage, landscaping, what type of building that's going to have to go up, all of that has to meet the codes. And only thing is, it's a small section. Everything else has been done way before this council. Been years ago. Said in 2019. I understand that. That's before our time. Okay? This is just a small section. Let's say we've got a whole football field out there that's ready to play ball except for the end zone. What do? Do we leave the end zone alone? To make it a whole field, they'll make it all the same. It's just a small section that we want to put to make it one big field. This is not putting a building on a property. Not. Okay, this is just, it's just a, well, the rest of the field is the same. Right. That's exactly correct. It's been there for a long time. And this is just a small section that we want to bring in all together, okay? Thank you.
Go ahead, Councilman Johnson.
Maintain order in a council meeting.
Yes.
Thank you.
George, you can walk. Okay, we finished.
Is everyone finished?
Yes, we're finished.
All council members, motion by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember Sharwood. All council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Motion passes 6-1. Councilmember Wilmot is opposed. Item 12 is, yes.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Item 12 is other ordinances for final passage. We have none. Item 13 is resolutions and motions by council members. Item 13A is a resolution
We're still in
appointing.
council meeting, if you all don't mind.
Item 13A is a resolution appointing Caitlin Mayer to the City of Kenner Civil Service Board in accordance with the charter of the City of Kenner. I have a motion by Councilmember Lahat, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan. All council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 13B is a resolution authorizing a settlement in the lawsuit entitled regarding Michael Vodolina Appeal, Kenner Municipal Fire and Police Civil Service Board, case number 2018 AHFIR 001. I have a motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan. Seeing no discussion, council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 6-0 with Councilmember Sharwood abstaining. Item 14 is items removed from the consent agenda. We have none. Item 15 is acceptance of contracts and similar matters approved by the mayor. Item 15A is summary ordinance number 13,666. An ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Fast Signs to furnish and install new sign at Musbertolino Stadium in accordance with electronic bid 24-2984 and an amount not to exceed $8,564.66 for the Parks and Recreation Department. I have a motion by Councilmember Brannigan, seconded by Councilmember McKinney. Seeing no discussion, all council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15B is summary ordinance number 13,667. An ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Bayou State Fasteners to supply blades, mesh, and rebar on an as-needed basis in accordance with electronic bid 24-2144 and an amount not to exceed $50,000 for the Department of Wastewater. I have a motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan. Is there any discussion on the matter? Seeing none, all council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15C is summary ordinance number 13,668, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Polydyne Incorporated to provide polymer on an as-needed basis in accordance with sealed bid 24-6845 and an amount not to exceed $150,000 annually for the Department of Wastewater. I have a motion by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember Lahat. Any discussion? Seeing none, all council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 16 is ordinances and resolutions in summary for first reading. Item 16A is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Pipe Works Plumbing and Demolition LLC. Give these to Dan for the mayor to sign. Here. For the demolition of Kenner City Hall Building A and Annex Building B, AE project number 20-22037B in accordance with sealed bid 24-6842 and an amount not to exceed $513,330 for the General Services Department. Item 16B is an ordinance accepting the proposal received from Clear World LLC to install 3 solar LED light poles with Wi-Fi cameras and 6 solar LED light poles without cameras on the lake side of the levee in Lake Town, and an amount not to exceed $55,818 for the Parks and Recreation Department. Item 16C is an ordinance approving an agreement with Delta Process Equipment to provide Gorman Rupp pumps and accessories on an as-needed basis and an amount not to exceed $200,000 for the wastewater department. Item 16D is an ordinance approving a professional services agreement with NY Associates Incorporated regarding design and construction-related services in connection with the City of Kenner Belt Press facility at the wastewater treatment plant, and an amount not to exceed $259,448 for the Department of Wastewater. Item 16E is an ordinance authorizing a 2-year agreement for the purchase of a 3-camera license plate recognition system, including site and safety assessment camera setup, testing and freight from Flock Safety, a sole source provider, and the amount of $18,450 for the Kenner Police Department. Item 16F is an ordinance authorizing a public hearing and amendment number 3 to the fiscal year 2018 and amendment number 5 to the fiscal year 2019 annual action plan of the Community Development Block Grant Program for the Community Development Department. Item 17 is reports from the council and/or special committees. We have none. Item 18 is new business. We have none. Item 19 is unfinished business and/or motions to reconsider or remove from a tabled position. We have none. Item 20 is persons wishing to address the council on special subject matters.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 52 years. I want to commend the mayor in his opening comments. Job well done on Canal Number 7 on the bridge. I pay close attention because they got a natural gas line that runs parallel on that bridge. And I pay very close attention to what goes on in my neighborhood when it comes to that bridge in Canal Number 7. I also want to commend citizen Richard Brown for last meeting for sharing that information with the citizens of Kenner about the incompetence on that den of inequity, that corrupt den of inequity called the city of New Orleans concerning those pumps that was never online. And evidently the parish didn't monitor them neither. So anyway, I want to commend Richard Brown again for sharing that information. Now, I want to respond to some comments made in here at the last meeting. At the beginning of this meeting, it proved my point. Our first responders were recognized for being seen in the neighborhood, going to check on people. They came and checked on me on the 13th, that Friday after the storm. And I'm going to direct this to Councilman Brennan and Councilman Scarborough, okay? This is exactly what my point was. When we have an event like this, we want to see our elected officials. We want to see them. We want reassurance from them. We want answers from them. We don't want to have to push no buttons and go on social media. There's a lot more people back here other than myself that don't have that garbage. And that's exactly what it is, garbage. And I sympathize with you, Councilman Brennan, because of the lot of things that was put on that garbage. Okay? Now, I also, I want to commend the chief for a job well done with our cyber crimes unit. One more thing I want to say to you, Ronnie, when you were talking about this issue down here in Rivertown with this rezoning, they need permits from the LDEQ as well. And let me tell you something. You pass that rezoning, that don't mean they got to get the permits to do whatever they want on that land. Cornerstone built a $28 million boiler with no permits from the LDEQ or nothing. And Councilwoman D. Dunn, they can take people's lands called expropriation. And of course, they got to pay them for it. But they did it when they built the UEP Long Bridge. They bought out all those people's houses to make room for the UEP Long Bridge, so it's called expropriation. Yes, ma'am, they can take their land. They got to pay them for it, though. They can take their houses if it's in the way of something that's going to hamper commerce. It's called expropriation.
Yeah.
Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
But Mr. Marullo, let me just say one thing. Nobody is taking nobody land. These people already own that land. So, Mr. Greg Taft, you have 3 minutes, please.
Greg Taft, the 5th District. The only thing I have tonight is I'd like to, since I didn't do it at the last council meeting because I was a little bit upset, I'd like to ask the chief to give us the answers to those questions that I asked regarding the employees of the fire department that are leaving, whether it's morale that's causing it, salary, but we need to know why we're losing good people, because the biggest investment we make is in our employees. And so if you could do that for us, sir, I'd appreciate it.
That was 2 meetings ago, 3 meetings ago? First question you asked was, what has the turnover been of fire personnel since January 1st? We've had 10 members retire. 8 of those had over 30 years. We had 9 members resign. We've hired 11 members since then, and we have 10 new hires starting in the academy starting the first week of November. The other question you asked was, what is the conditions currently exist in the fire stations? We have old stations. Bottom line, stuff breaks in them. When they break, they're reported to us and they get fixed. You asked, what are the conditions the trucks in? All of our trucks are maintained to NFPA standards, which means they get serviced twice a year. And we have 7 frontline vehicles, 5 pumps, 1 truck, 1 rescue unit. Now, NFPA states 15 years for the first line units, and then any apparatus over 25 years should be retired. As you know, we have some apparatus that's well over that 25-year mark. But I will say this, because of this administration, this would be the first time next year, because we got 2 new units coming. By the end of next year, they already been purchased. Well, one of them been purchased, one of them is in the process of being purchased. And we're taking delivery on them next year because it takes about 2.5 to 3 years to build a fire truck. So by the end of next year, when we get those 2 units in, this will probably be the first time in the history of Kenner that the fire departments, all their first line vehicles are within that 15-year standard. We're building 2 new fire stations. We're building 1 fire station, and then we're in the process of getting plans drawn for the 2nd fire station. And then hopefully we'll have that one built by the end of 2 years. So we have 2 new fire stations then. We're purchasing a ton more equipment for these guys, but all our equipment is directed at the incident response types that we have in the city of Kenner. That's the river, this railroad track, the interstate. We have a fuel farm that holds hundreds of thousands of gallons of fuel. We have the lake. We have plenty of nursing homes. So all our guys are getting trained in those areas. So it's a lot of training, a lot of new equipment being purchased for those people to use within the fire department. So the fire department has progressed tremendously over the last few years. In 2009, this was a Class 3 fire department. 2014, when it was rated, it rated at a Class 3. They upgraded to a Class 2, but they barely cleared a Class 2. 2019, we achieved the first Class 1. We just got rated this year in May. We're one of the highest rated, if not the highest rated fire department in the state of Louisiana, of 550 fire departments. Okay, so progress has been tremendous within the last few years of the fire department, and that's the status of it. People leave departments over and over to go other departments to make more money for whatever reason, family reasons or whatever. But we've always been overstaffed. We was overstaffed last year because we were getting, I asked the mayor, we were losing some of the higher paid individuals. Let me replace them and overstaff the department to account for people leaving the department. So we were never understaffed. Today, right now, that's the chief right there, where we have 30 people on duty, 31 people on duty. This went from a department that was having two people on every fire truck at one time to now, most days, we have 4 people on every unit. Some units have 5 of them on it. Okay? All right, thank you.
Okay. Ronnie? Councilman Lahat? I mean, not Lahat, Sherwood, I'm sorry.
That's okay, ma'am. It's been a long night. Mr. Gregg, like the chief said, he's got 31 on tonight. When I was hired, I was hire rate number 32 for the whole department. Give you an idea how much we've gone up since then. Also, chief, these people may not understand, like you said, truck. It's a ladder. It's not a truck. As we know in the fire service, okay, it's a ladder. So we're working on it. Chief's done a fantastic job so far. We're coming up, we're maintaining. We do have old stations. It's going to get better. With the millage that increased, we now have the funds. It's going to happen, okay? It will happen.
Anyone else? Motion that the meeting is adjourned by the mayor.